Hey everyone and welcome. Today we'll be running you through a great example for how to deal with a difficult lane matchup where your teammates are feeding and you're getting camped. We'll do this by analysing TSM Zven on Vayne and dive into how he fights off both his opponents and his team trying to cost him the game. Alright, so as always let's get an overview of the matchup before we get into the gameplay. Zven is playing Vayne Morgana versus a Pyke Kai'Sa. Vayne and Kai'Sa have comparable damage, with Vayne winning trades if he can get the third auto off to proc his press the attack, and Kai'Sa wins trades if she can get one auto, Q and back off. Kai'Sa has significant wave clear with her Q compared to Vayne. And for range, Vayne wins slightly with a 25 range lead. The support matchup really determines how the lane will be played out though, and Kai'Sa is blessed with a great Pyke support, while Zven has a Morgana. While Morg has a push and poke advantage here, Pyke has a way higher all-in threat and isn't scared of binds since he can easily dodge and move away with speed. So Zven's missions this game will be Mission 1, let them push. By letting them push, he can use his defensive positioning advantage to lower Pyke's threat and focus on CSing. Mission 2, keep the wave outside his tower. He wants to try and control the wave as best he can to keep it in the safe zone. Mission 3, look for efficient trades. Vayne can win longer trades if she gets her third auto off, and if she does that a couple times then she can control the lane. Mission 4, beat Kai'Sa to the first completed item and look for all-ins. If Vayne can get Borg before Kai'Sa gets Stormrazor, then Vayne can look for all-ins with ultimate. So you may be thinking that Morg should push and harass as a range versus melee lane, which is how it usually plays out, but pushing here would actually play into Pyke's hands of looking for an all-in versus a pushed up bot lane. And the Kai'Sa Pyke's general game plan should have them looking to shove the wave, let it bounce back and look for all-ins. Alright, so that was a bit of a more in-depth introduction, so let us know if you hated that, and let's finally get into the game. So Zven gets into lane and already there's a ton of things to learn from. Firstly, we want to acknowledge that Zven's first mission is to let his opponents push so that he can farm safely. He places a ward in the river right away, which we'll talk about in a moment, but notice how he has the leash advantage. Now the first question that you want to ask yourself when you have the leash advantage is who wins at level 1? This one's tough to identify and it's usually much simpler to do so, such as knowing that any range support would beat an Alistar or a Leona at level 1 for example. But in this case, we know that Morg Vayne win at level 1 because Morg can push with her W, and if Kai'Sa tries to match with her Q, then Vayne would go in and win auto for auto. If Kai'Sa doesn't match wave clear with Q, then Vayne can find autos as they push in. So with the stronger level 1, they don't actually want to push with their leash advantage. They want to just get a slight minion lead and look for trades for mission 3. If they started pushing like most players would, then Kai'Sa can play back and safe for free until she hits level 2 where she wins lane, and Zven doesn't want to let that happen. And that's exactly why Zven warded here to scout out the red starting Lee who may path to scuttle and look for a level 2 gank. Moving on, we see Zven pick up his last hits, not pushing the wave and keeping it pretty much neutral. He looks to punish last hits that Kai'Sa is going for, but Kai'Sa is playing back and Morg pulls, which shortens his window to trade before he has to get back to last hitting again. Zven ends up making a start on mission 3 as Kai'Sa pushes up to grab the casters. This was a great move and sticks to the 3 autos to proc press the attack and then backs off. And now we can see a great ward paying off right away. They spot Lee in the river, which is nice, but they really don't want Lee to be here. With Lee in the river, they'll have to back off right away. What they wanted to do was continue to get a health lead and shove the second wave to let it bounce back where they could hold it for mission 2. Let's take a look. So this all came about due to Zven's game plan at level 1. It was backed by good logic, but it ended up putting them in an awkward spot thanks to Lee's presence. Lee being here gave Kai'Sa the confidence to start pushing, which gave her the level advantage. While Zven did correctly back off to respect the Lee Sin, because they were getting aggro at level 1, they're pretty far up in lane for the Pyke all in. It's hard to call this a flat out mistake since Lee could have easily pathed top after red, making this the right play. But if we dive even deeper, we could say that Zven should expect the Lee to stick around with a Pyke lane bot and a LeBlanc lane mid. Anyway, with Morg dead, Zven farms safely from range as they push for mission 1. He spots that Kai'Sa will likely recall here due to low health, mana and having kill gold, so he actually decides to tank the wave for a freeze working on mission 2. Let's speed this up as he's just scoring last hits. Now Morgana's back in the lane, let's see how she can help stabilize the lane phase after that unfortunate first kill that she gave away. Yeah, so this Morgana is clearly feeding. Zven makes his first misstep here and screws up on mission 3 since he's not catching Kai'Sa as she autos a minion, but instead straight up trading the first auto for auto, tanking Q, which loses him the trade before he can get his third auto off. Pyke adds another blow to Zven's lane by hitting a great hook from the brush. This was more so just great play from the Pyke rather than Zven tanking it, but it did end up costing him his flash. Speeding it up as Zven actually stays in lane despite being so low, he ends up finally going for a recall after killing the cannon minion. We want to note that it's worth sometimes staying in lane even if you're really low health and missing a few minions to ensure that you can get a good item on your next recall. By staying, Zven can now buy a Vamp Scepter for lifesteal to help his lane phase, versus backing earlier to get a longsword, which wouldn't do a whole lot. Kai'Sa shoved after Zven recalled, so as he comes back to lane his wave is slow pushing out, and there's nothing he can do about that besides last hit, and push as slowly as possible, which will build him up a large wave to try and help keep him safe, as he will eventually shove to the tower. Pyke does Pyke stuff and misses this time, so it doesn't turn into anything. A fight breaks out and they kite it back while dealing damage. This ends up in a fairly even exchange despite being far behind in lane. This is a great visual for how you want to play it out when you're at a disadvantage. Zven has been keeping the wave in the safe zone for a long period of time, which increases the chance that the enemy team will try to overextend to kill the feeding support, as we can see here. In this case, Kayn actually shows up and converts this into a kill onto the Pyke. It's worth noting that even if Kayn did not show up, this still would have put Zven in a great spot, trading evenly while his minions were firing onto Kai'Sa, while their minions were hitting the wave, meaning that he would have traded health pretty evenly and have the wave pushing back towards him for the first 2 missions. Anyway, Zven starts trying to shove the wave while Pyke is dead to set up a recall, but he's Vayne, so this is comically taking forever, and Morgana just didn't feel like lending a hand with Pool. And Pyke shows up before he can shove wave to tower. Oh, and the level 6 Lee is here too. If you were playing Vayne here, who would you use your condemn on? So this is kind of Vayne specific, but when deciding how to use your condemn, you want to identify where the most danger is. With Pyke using his abilities to gap close, it's the level 6 Lee Sin with ultimate who's the biggest threat, so he will condemn that target. Let's take a look. Now that condemn really owned that Lee Sin, and there's not much that he could have done about it. With the red buff chase down with ult, Pyke still escapes, but this has totally turned the lane around for Zven. He escorts the wave to crash for a clean recall, buying Cutlass. As Zven returns to lane, he sits back and waits for the wave to come to him. He would probably die if he even walks up to hit a minion here, despite having red buff and superior items. highlighting more great discipline from Zven as always. Kayn shows up and they're looking to catch Pyke in the river. To most, this would seem like a no-brainer to follow up, but with Pyke being so slippery, overextending could be really risky. So Zven makes the tough but correct call not to follow. Alright, so his teammates are probably mad about that, but there was little chance of him salvaging their teammates' chase, especially with the TP that would have completed coming in. If Vayne had died there, it would not only give away the kill, but they would have a wave to take First Blood Tower with, losing any control over this game with the blue team already up 2000 gold. Anyway, Zven gets an easy read on Lee looking to dive since he didn't see him exit on the river ward, and Kai'Sa is shoving the wave as fast as possible. So Zven retreats. Let's take a look. That was super calm and great play from Zven. His only mistake here was not condemning the Lee as soon as he warded the brush. He condemns the Pyke soon after to deny his dash into stun, and then tumbles with ult for invisibility to kite out. He uses the wave to prevent hook and finishes with a nice sidestep onto Lee Q, all while holding his flash. From there they're super overextended, and he even claims a kill onto the Lee Sin thanks to the tower, which is confusing. Anyway, he shoves the next two waves and completes mission 4 on the recall. He buys Bork and Xerxes here, while Kai'Sa has these items. Morg sets up a nice ambush and they all in immediately. If Morg didn't do this, the moment Vayne gets in range of them anyway, he could have just ran them down with a significant lead. And then later, the enemy LeBlanc tries to shut Zven down, which ended just as good for her as it did for the Lee Sin, leaving Zven with 9-0 in kills out of his team's 12 total to 16, concluding the lane phase. Let's jump into the recap. Zven came into lane knowing that he loses from level 2, so worked with his level 1 advantage to get aggressive with a clever ward. He wanted to land trades and then shove the second wave with his health lead, but Lee's presence in the river put a stop to this and Kai'Sa pushed with confidence to hit level 2 first. They translated this into an easy kill on the Morgana, and again. In the meantime, Zven stuck to his plan to let the lane push and keep it near his tower, which increased the chance of his opponents overextending to get the kill onto the feeder, which they did, and they got a kill back with the Kayn. Zven's intelligent discipline stopped him from following up his team's mistakes, and he was able to outplay the imminent dive as his team had died, scoring him an eventual double kill, not even spending his flash. He was able to snowball from there, scoring kill after kill without dying a single time, making Vayne's lane phase look easy, even versus a Pyke who was playing super well, versus a not so super Morgana, proving supports can be carried. Alright, so that's it for this one. Thanks for watching and we'll catch you next time.